So markets are dumping right now, and there is anticipation that we could be potentially even deviating below 100,000 for Bitcoin currently with what we have been seeing. Ethereum is also not looking too hot, having to hold specific regions, or we could be deviating, which is going to cause altcoins to start to dump very significantly. Today, we're already starting to see a little bit of red into the market. We were anticipating that we were going to be closing out the week red. Now we still have tomorrow, Friday, to see exactly how the markets are going to be closing, but everything is not looking too hot right now. In today's video, I want to go ahead and walk you through the perspectives around the deviations that are taking place, what is expected moving into next week, and what you should be doing if you're investing in crypto right now. But if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, liquidity shifting, and everything you need to be aware of. In my last few videos, I've been keeping you updated with the anticipation around the pumps and the dumps, and I've been telling everyone to be careful with volatility, and that is currently what we are seeing. More than likely, I think we're going to be seeing another dump before we pump. But with all that being said, let's go and jump straight into the charts, straight into the perspectives and what you need to be aware of. So as I said, markets are dumping right now, seeing deviations around Bitcoin, around Ethereum, which is also causing altcoins to deviate, and Bitcoin dominance has been on a gradual pump back to that 60% region after the massive crash that we saw on altcoins, and which caused Bitcoin dominance to just rally like crazy, and also the deviations with Ethereum. Right now, Ethereum is seeing a little bit of a pump up, but this is where it gets into different perspectives around exactly where Ethereum is testing and what we're holding, and exactly what we should be anticipating if we see more dips. But right now, markets are trading and chopping sideways, and honestly, if we can't hold the strength that we are seeing, we're going to be seeing more dumps, and you need to buckle up for this. We haven't seen key news events happening this week. Overall, the markets are in extreme fear, even though we're pretty much in the process of seeing gold reach new all-time highs. People are hedging their bets. Stock markets are fluctuating like crazy, and Jerome Powell confirmed already that we're going to be seeing 2 more rate cuts, and this is where, you know, we're anticipating exactly how it's going to be having an effect on the market. We're seeing multiple sectors within the United States are not looking good. So overall, all you need to be aware of is that the markets are looking quite bad. The Fed is going to be doing rate cuts, but is it really going to be having an effect on anything? This goes into the price action around Ethereum and around Bitcoin, and where we're currently holding, and if we start to deviate, where we could be headed. This is super important because we keep up with the day-to-day price action, the weekly price action, and the monthly price action to let us know exactly how we're opening, how we're closing, and more than likely how we're moving into the next week, next month, so on and so forth. Right now, there's a lot of liquidity sitting at specific regions above that 125,000 region and below 100,000. We can see this with the heat map that KillaXBT is sharing. All this is pretty much showing is that we are seeing a lot of liquidity sitting at 2 specific zones. If we can't hold, more than likely we're going to be deviating, and this 108, 106,000 zone is the period and zone where we're really going to be determining if that downward momentum is going to happen, or if we can start to see a little bit of a recovery. But this is super important to anticipate because the markets move where liquidity is at, and based off of the weakness, we could be seeing those deviations. Now, this goes into Ethereum and how it's also testing specific zones, and we're pretty much at a make or break kind of level. Overall, ETH is also testing make or break levels. If we are unable to hold the range, flip 3,300 is next. Hold the range, flip, and we push a lot higher. So if we can hold this range, stay strong, more than likely we're going to be seeing a pump to the upside. But if we start to lose this strength, deviations are bound to happen and a flip could occur. So this is super important. If we start to see the deviations around this, we better be expecting deviations around altcoins. Now, Bitcoin is also sitting in a specific range where we're wondering exactly how we are going to be moving into next week. Bitcoin, in regards to, you know, the price action, we have filled 50% of the weekly wick. It's quite simple. Hold, or hold equals we reverse to 116 to 117,000, which is, you know, pumping back to the upside. Or if we don't hold, we lose, and this equals a downward momentum to that 98,000 region, which is exactly where most of that liquidity is sitting, and also where that weekly time frame is at. So this is super important to anticipate, guys, looking at the price action on these weekly time frames, and overall, you know, what to expect. If we can't hold the specific region Bitcoin, where we have already filled 50% of that weekly wick, we're going to be deviating. And this is really crazy because if you aren't aware of the price action around Bitcoin, around Ethereum, the heat map where liquidity is shifting, then you aren't expecting deviations. You're getting super bullish when you honestly should be getting a little bit skeptical. I have an altcoin portfolio. I invest in altcoins, but I am still anticipating downward momentum because that lets you know what to expect and when to allocate to the markets. Super important stuff, super simple stuff, but most people overlook these things. Do not overlook this stuff. Now, Dr. Profit has been the massive bear that has been talking about all the deviations, what he has been expecting, and how he believes that the bears are going to be coming out on top because we're in the start of a bear market. He goes on to talk more about exactly the different points in the market, what we saw, and exactly how he called everything. He's saying he was right to call the bear market. He was right to call the repo crisis. He was the first all over X to sell the top, and he says he was right. He was right all over again. And then he goes on to say that a correction to 90K is coming. He said he was wrong big time, and the market humbled him for not being bearish enough. He expected 60 to 70K instead, and he feels ashamed for not having enough bearish momentum and enough bearish talk. He says, please accept my apology on this matter. He goes on to give a little bit more concrete data on regional banks and how they're crashing hard, and the reason is obvious. The entire market's liquidity has dried up. This is the direct result of years of quantitative tightening. It's far from over and will eventually hit a major bank, triggering a repeat of the 2008 crisis. The bear market started. So this is where, we're anticipating even crazier times. And one of his most recent posts, he says, weeks ago, I kept sharing very important data such as insider selling, which we have covered on this channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, because we covered all this. You were expecting this if you're following the channel. Goes on to say supply and profit or other important macro data. All of these data points were ignored by the bulls as they expected things to go up forever. I feel zero empathy to greedy bulls. So right now, bulls are, getting crapped on because we're seeing deviations in the market. And if you have an altcoin portfolio like me, you're somewhat a bull. You're waiting for altcoins to get the liquidity that they need so that we can rip up. But one of the biggest things to really determine if altcoins actually have the liquidity that they actually need is seeing the price action around Ethereum. This is super, super important. And if we don't start to keep up with the price action around Ethereum, and if we can't break that 5,000 region, then we're going to be seeing deviations. This is something that Benjamin Cohen was talking about and has been talking about for the past few weeks. The price action around Ethereum is super, super important, and exactly it ties back into KillXBT's perspective on holding specific ranges and then from there sending to Valhalla. And if Bitcoin starts to, deviate, move that liquidity into Ethereum, and then Ethereum reaches that new all-time high, then liquidity can pour back into altcoins. And that's whenever it's going to start to get really, really crazy. But most people aren't expecting all of this, movement and all the different shifts in liquidity. This is super, super important to anticipate, and this is why the markets are trading sideways right now. That's why deviations around altcoins are happening. My altcoin portfolio is just not looking good, and overall, everyone right now is wondering exactly what they should be doing. With all the volatility in the market, it's not looking too hot, and it's super important to anticipate the day-to-day price action, how we open on the weekly time frame, and how everything is looking on a monthly scale so that you can anticipate if we're going to be dumping or if we're going to be pumping. There's mixed narratives around the crypto bears and the bulls, which is why I've been telling everyone to just be careful with volatility and look for positions. If you're new to my channel, you should really go check out the rest of my content. I keep you updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and everything you need to be aware of. I try not to fill your brain with a whole bunch of fluff and all this other garbage. There's a whole bunch of narratives that are being pushed right now. A lot of people invested into Aster. Now people already forgot about Aster. There's a whole bunch of stuff moving around, which is why people are just getting wrecked like crazy because everyone is so caught up in a, hourly hourly time set mindset. Like, it's just the worst thing to be doing, and you shouldn't be doing it. So I hope you guys can, you know, take something out of this real data and information that has been coming out. If you guys have just been anticipating the deviations, go check out the rest of my content, follow a lot of the individuals that I share on the channel, and overall just try to understand how liquidity shifts. How liquidity shifts. If you guys have any questions or suggestions on any content, drop it down below. I love to answer any questions that you guys might have, see exactly where you're at on your journey, and also if you disagree with me. I love to hear everyone's perspective, even if it's right or it's wrong. I give my 2 cents on it, and we keep on going. So stay tuned, guys. I'm gonna let you know how the markets are closing up tomorrow on Friday and what to expect on the weekend, and then moving into next week. All right, I can't talk today. I'm gonna go ahead and stop right here. Drop me a comment, like, subscribe, and hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. Peace.